But I saw.
Hey, here we go.
There we are. We are live and recording.
Yes.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday morning. We're here on a Tuesday, which is different from our regular Thursday, but I wanted to get Kevin and Phil on when they said yes as quickly as possible. So as usual, we'll hang out for 5 minutes, let folks pop on and join us. If you're here and you can hear us, please say hello in that chat box down there to the right so that we know that you can hear us and so that we know you know where the chat box is, because this is more fun when you play along with us. And I will introduce my guests in a couple minutes, but this is Kevin and Phil. And how's the weather where you guys are?
It's cold.
You said Sam, you think, is in Lancaster.
Yeah, Sam's probably not too far from me. We just right. I'm in Bucks County. She's west of me right now. Yeah. A couple of clicks down the Pennsylvania Turnpike.
You guys could meet up for some Black Friday shopping.
There you go. I'm doing online this year.
Phil's going to do that online.
I'm all virtual.
It's very virtual.
I got my bargains all lined up and ready to roll.
So I can, as many people might know, I've done a lot of presentations around the country and around the world for that matter. And back when we did stuff in person, and one of my favorite places was Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's
a nice place.
It was a very nice. It was one hell of a great crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Really was. It was a big crowd too. And, Colorado. Believe it or not, I have presented in Colorado.
I don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
No, I don't believe it.
we do better to try to figure out places you haven't been.
Right. Yeah.
I got a lot of the states in. Not Alaska.
Not Alaska.
No, not Alaska.
How about
Michigan.
Hawaii I've been to, but I didn't present. Michigan I've presented in. Illinois is
all right.
They were going, yes.
Miriam says, good morning. I've been waiting anxiously for this podcast.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see you, Miriam. Thanks for being here.
Cooking along. And by the way, I forgot my other little thing about. I had flown to Philadelphia, rented a car, and drove out to Lancaster. And I was going along, and I stopped at a four-way stop. And on the other 3 stops were buggies.
Yes.
Sam has told me about the buggies.
I sat there, and I was like, I think it was before the days of the really handy cameras on your phone. But it was like, this is wild.
Yeah. That's how you know you're officially in Lancaster. You're behind a buggy with a little red.
Behind. There was one at each of the other 3.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of like you're behind them and they have the red triangle on the back of them.
I've already been behind them, but the other 3 were there. That was great.
Now, can you go around them, or do you have to stay behind them?
Well, you can go around them.
You can pass them. They're just like cars.
I mean, as long as it's safe.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to there because we were all stopped at the stop sign.
Yeah.
So, and then I went on and drove on into Lancaster.
Cool. So if you're just joining us, we're just chit-chatting until about 5 after. Yep. If you can hear us and you can see us, pop a hi in that chat box so we know that you know where that chat box is and that you can hear us. And we will get started in just about a minute. And if you guys want to know more about where to get these cool t-shirts that Kevin and Phil are wearing, you should click that green button down there and you'll find lots of other cool things. I have a t-shirt too, but they didn't tell me that we were going to wear them today.
You didn't get the memos.
You didn't get the memo.
It wasn't upstate
New
York. Believe it or not, I presented in upstate New York.
I don't believe it.
I mean, I really covered upstate New York, Albany and Buffalo. Syracuse.
All right. Well, it's 11:05, so we will officially get started. We are recording, so this will be available if you guys want to come back and watch it later or share it with folks. I am incredibly honored today. I'll tell you, I'm Tina Long. I'm a behavior analyst in Fairfax County. I use the ACT matrix in all of my personal and professional life and find new ways to use it every minute of the day. And I do these free webinars so that we can share, that more people can learn. And I asked Kevin and Phil. Kevin is the creator of the ACT Matrix. Phil is a school psychologist. They are the Matrix Talk folks who I met and have learned so much from. So quickly tell us about who you are, where you are, and then I'm going to let you guys take it away because you are the experts, the pros here.
Well, Phil will go first, and then I'll pile in.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm Phil Tenaglia. I'm a school psychologist and a family therapist, and it was my good fortune to run into Kevin on one of his travels around the world. A very cold day in Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Right before the Matrix came into the world, before he birthed it. And I have been with him ever since, and we are now working together, trying to spread psychological flexibility to the world. And my particular stick was I brought the ACT Matrix into schools and crisis intervention and stuff like that. And then, thank you, Tina. Shameless plug from Tina for my guide that just came out in July for people that might want to take a look at that. So that's just a little bit about me. So Kevin, on to you.
Well, he already told me I'm a clinical psychologist by training. My dissertation was really experimental psychology, though, so I'm a weird hybrid. But did that for a lot of years, and then just I was goofing around with ACT and figured out the Matrix. And so the way I like to get started is show people the Matrix first, and then we'll do other stuff. Okay. So the way we do it is we do the horizontal line and the vertical line, the cross lines. And in the lower right-hand side quadrant, there is a question. Who is important to you? And so we answer that question. And I usually pile in and answer right away. I say, my wife is very important to me. Tina
says coworkers.
Coworkers. So we have code. And other people, please use the chat.
Education. We have a what?
We have a what, and what's are fine. What's importance are fine. In the lower
Anybody
right.
else?
Another very popular one down there, folks, are pets. I'll put pets. Pets are people too.
Children.
Right next door to pets. Right. See.
All right. Dogs. Yep.
The specific dog. Family, grandkids. Hey, we're cooking now, boy.
That's it. Now they're coming.
Important. You're gonna.
You found the chat. Grandkids. All right.
Husband, family, and dog. Nice ordering.
Trifecta.
Right.
And then you just write them down like that.
Yeah, you write them down. That's how you do it. And then you, we're going to stay in the lower part. We're going to go over to the lower left. And the question then is, well, we all have yucky feeling stuff that shows up in us, like fear. Being afraid doesn't feel good. And Phil and I call that yucky. So fear is the example. So what other kind of yucky stuff can show up inside of people? You or anybody else,
We just
got
that in there first.
We got fear. No, not the
imposter syndrome. Never.
It showed up every day for a year. Shame.
You too, huh? Okay. Imposter.
That doesn't feel good. Nope. Anxiety.
Shame. Oh yeah.
That doesn't feel good. Guilt. We got
guilt. Ooh.
Guilt on top of guilt. Yes.
Yeah.
Give us something that people embarrassment sometimes forget to put in. It's just physical pain, actual pain. That's yucky.
Doubt. All right.
Ooh, love doubt.
Exhaustion.
Popular, very popular exhaustion. Yeah.
Boredom. Oh yeah.
Boredom and burnout.
I heard that a lot when I was in the schools. Boredom. Burnout.
Powerlessness.
Oh man, you guys got a great list going here, folks.
A hell of a list. Great. Distance. Oh, I feel distance, huh?
All right, so I have just about
filled up that lower left quadrant. Okay. So now we're going to go. So you can throw that in there.
Yep.
feeling of emptiness doesn't feel good. So now we're going to go up to the top, and that's where we put behaviors. That meaning other people can see you doing this. So, for example, fear. I might run to reduce fear, right? And so that would be a behavior other people could see me doing. They may or may not know it's due to fear, but they definitely see me doing the running.
Right.
So what other kinds of things that people do that you can see to let's say, what do we got? We got anxiety. That's fine. Wine and wine.
Oh, there's the wine and wine. Yeah.
So what might you do that for, Tina?
Pick one. We got a bunch of them here.
Oh, anxiety, exhaustion,
Right,
burnout.
Wine and wine.
There we go. Minimize compliments. Oh, how nice.
Minimize compliments. Okay.
Isolate.
Oh, yeah. There's a bit of that going on.
Exercise and meditation. I'll go over there. Yeah.
Isolate.
Join a social justice movement as an away move. I love it.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Great. Exercise.
Right. Oh, TV's a good one.
TV. Join movement.
A few years ago, it was people started saying Netflix. They'd say Netflix as an away move.
Netflix and chill, right? That's the idea.
Miriam says organize, and that's one of my big ones.
No, organize. Yeah, that's right.
Organize is an away move.
Make a list, right? Make a
list.
Making a list and checking it twice.
Color code things.
Color
in order.
Organize.
Pinterest is another goodie. There we go.
List.
I know my daughter really likes Pinterest and getting ideas from that. So
lots of interesting away moves going on here.
Oh man, these are great.
Yeah,
and just absolutely part of life.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, like in the form of fear, like if a bus is coming at you or something, you're going to get out of the way. You're going to do an away move. You're going to save yourself. So they're very, very, very much part of life. And then finally, we got a big old nice empty quadrant up there in the upper right, and those are behaviors that other people can see you doing that are meant to move you toward who and what's important to you. You know, so for my wife, I might maybe she's out somewhere and I could text her. Use the modern convenience of texting, right? So what are other kinds of things that people do?
Moves when people make toward
you mean for them to be moving you closer to these people in the service of this relationship.
Exercise. Okay, exercise showing up on the other side.
And that shows us how a behavior can show up on either side. It's the intention of the behavior. Family wine nights.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Sam and I are on the same page.
Oh
yeah, family wine nights.
Our away moves and toward moves.
They intermingle.
Continuing education.
Continuous. Okay. Educate.
Exactly. There you go.
Educate. Hobbies.
What do kids like to do? There's something that children seem to particularly enjoy doing.
You see them do a lot of.
They play. And they play, and you can go play with them. Right. Playing gin in the evening with my hubby. There we go. See?
Nice.
What do they like? What do they play up here, Phil? That thing with a board, the pegboard.
Oh,
it's not gin, is it? The Mainers play that. I can't.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Rita's another one. Yeah. Take walks with my fur babies.
Nice. Walk with the fur babies. All right.
Schedule time for kids, and as long as we can see you doing it, there you go. That's
the behavior.
We can see
schedule time.
Right.
We have to schedule some time
for visiting family. Hey, pandemic awareness. Maybe they're going to Zoom.
Weekends. There we go.
Oh my goodness, Bill's got a big old.
Yeah. We got volunteer.
Volunteer, of course. Yes, volunteer. Nice thing. And so now to finish all this off, we're going to put a little circle of noticing in the middle. And then we're going to say, what it means is you can notice who's important to you and what. And you can notice yucky stuff showing up, and you can notice yourself doing away moves and notice yourself doing toward moves. And the question is, do you think that you'll have the opportunity to notice any of that stuff in the next week or so? What do you think? Then you just type in your answer, whether yes, I might have that opportunity. Tina said yes, or maybe no. You're going to nope. Won't have that opportunity.
You can't say.
That's okay too. Whatever.
That'll be fine.
Jenny says yes.
Yeah, most people will say yes.
Okay. So you might have the opportunity to notice all of that stuff going off into the future. And so with that done, lots of yeses. So with that done,
Good.
We then set aside that one, and we do another very, very similar looking diagram. The major change is in the lower right. The question becomes, what's our shared purpose?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what happens, Miriam. Occupational hazard.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
It's in.
You just start sorting.
I will tell you that within like 90 seconds of me showing this to the first person, those words were said. And that was at which time, now we're getting into it, man. At which time they literally said, this is going to be like a virus, which is funny because that's what we got running around in the pandemic form.
Yeah.
Meaning that, it gets inside of you and you can't get rid of it. And, so pretty cool. So anyway, so now we're talking about you being with one or more other people, us being together. So humans are always part of a couple or some kind of team or group or something. And then the question is always, well, what's our shared purpose? So like today, we're all together. What kind of shared purpose might we have? The folks on the call here, everybody who is signed in. Share the matrix. There we go. There's a shared purpose. Learning almost always shows up. There's your one. For Phil and I won't type it, but Phil knows. He'll put Cyflex.
Yeah.
Phil's nice thing is to spread psychological flexibility around. Oh, trauma. Woohoo. That's in the title.
Yep.
Oh, we got to validate each other.
Help students validate. Yep.
Oh, nice. Helping students.
Help
That's
students.
a nice thing, too.
Excellent.
There we go. All these kind of shared purposes, right?
And we just write them down like we did the first time around.
Write them down. Hang out with Kevin and Phil. Hey. And so, and by the way, when you're writing these down, even if somebody says one that your brain goes, oh my, that might not be part of everybody's shared purpose.
Like someone told me I had to be here. That kind of.
But that's okay. You just write it down.
Oh, had to be here. Fine.
Just write it down. It's whatever people say. You just
I think some people may be here because I'm their boss, and I said, "Hey, you should join us."
Well, you can write that down.
The boss told you.
That's okay.
I mean, had a choice, but
But see if there's at least one other person like that. There you go. You get self-shared.
Yep.
And so now the other quadrants say a lot the same, a little bit different. Now we're going to talk about yucky stuff. I call it social yucky stuff. And that means you're with somebody else. You got a shared purpose. And lo and behold, yucky stuff shows up while you're with in this social situation. Have anybody here had been in social situations where yucky stuff showed up? What do you think? Oh, Phil has. Apparently Tina has too, because she says opinions show up.
What say the rest of you? Politics. Ooh.
Politics show up. I don't if that, but I guess that is yucky. Yeah. But now that I internalize it, okay. So
and he says triggers.
Triggers, yeah, can show up. Judging can show up.
Oh, nice.
That can be yucky.
Judging.
There's a lot going. They're good at this.
I think they've been in some groups before. Other people's fear.
Other judgment showing up. Yeah, that's one of the trickies of being with other people is that judgment stuff.
Compromises, an increased heart rate.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Right. All this kind of stuff that can show up. I guess compromises comes under, I don't want to compromise. No, I got to.
Compromise not.
But you get the idea. It's the yucky stuff that, you really associate with being with others. And so you got that. And then, of course, up to the away behaviors. And once again, it's this in the presence of one or more other people, you have sort of a special class of away moves that you do. Like almost reserved for when you're with others.
Social away moves, right? We're going to social away moves. Right?
How about eye rolling?
I don't do that.
Eye rolling is just not the same when you're by yourself. You really need an audience.
It almost doesn't count by yourself.
You need an audience for an eye roll.
Someone's got to receive that eye roll.
Anybody ever done or received an eye roll?
Argue.
Confront. Oh, here we go. Now we got it. Yes.
I was told I rolled my eyes a lot, so I wore a little timer to remind me to keep a neutral face, to bring awareness.
Work.
Go to the restroom. Yeah.
You're working more. We can see avoid is a great one.
More.
That's our favorite thing. I'm not going to
go. Yeah.
Quit.
Work more. Quit.
Sigh. Oh, I like the sigh.
Yeah.
Heavy sigh, especially heavy sigh.
Yeah, I love those non-verbal sigh. With the heave.
And then leave. And not only that, you're there, and then you just get up and leave.
Sam says change the topic. And Kristen, that was my target behavior when I wore my little thing. It was fix your face. That was
change the topic. Yes.
Have we gotten go on your phone yet? When you
hasn't shown up.
Pick up your phone and put. That's a favorite one these days, right? Check out by going on your phone.
Go on your phone or open another browser.
Good idea. Good idea.
Watch YouTube while you're on your call, right?
Yep.
Why does our face someone else's problem? I don't know.
No.
That's one of those fancy matrix questions.
Yeah.
And finally, we're going to do the $1 million question of how can we do behaviors that propel us toward the shared purpose. So we accomplished the shared purpose. Now, of course, folks, that is an ongoing question. But there are things, and I'll give you the example. Communicate. It's like if you're with another person, somehow, some way, you need to communicate about the shared purpose, right? Other than that, you're all just going to be going in separate directions. It's not going to go. So communication is a common one. Show the matrix is another. There you go. That could be a move toward shared purpose. Tell me more is nice. Reframe.
Tell me more. Yeah.
Said right.
Reframe.
Something I like to put in here, and I'll go ahead and throw in: treat other people with respect.
Respect. RESPE.
Validate. That very closely associated with respecting. Validating others. Take a regroup break. Ooh, that could be a thing, right?
Yeah, take a break.
You got all those kinds of generals things, and then of course there's task-specific things that making widgets or whatever you're going to do.
Focus on and not but. Okay, use visuals. Yeah, there you go. Use visuals.
Hey, we know something about using visuals.
Do you guys like to use visuals?
I don't know.
We've been known. And of course, we finish off with a little flurry of putting noticing in the middle. Of course, that's about noticing shared purpose and noticing social yucky stuff and noticing the social away moves and noticing the moves toward shared purpose. And then it's, of course, do you think you'll have the opportunity to notice any of that stuff in the next week or so? And people can say, yeah, I might. Or I'm going to be a hermit somewhere and we'll don't have to worry about
I'm
this.
going to keep isolating.
And I think Miriam and Martin both pointed out a noticing behavior where it's not a noticeable behavior, but don't take things personally. So you can notice in your own self and then be aware of assumptions.
That's a thinking thing.
Yeah, that's an inside behavior.
Check out what people mean.
You just put them down there on the inside. Make a special little place.
I could put it down here.
And lots of people put, yes, they're going to have they may have the opportunity to notice such things. And though that, my friends, are the two loops around the matrix. The first one developed in January, February of 2009. It's called the ACT matrix, the Acceptance and Commitment Training and Therapy matrix. The T gets two words, in case you didn't know that. Why is it called that? Because New Harbinger wanted to publish a book on it, and they said you need to call it the ACT matrix. That's why. So it was literally named by New Harbinger. It was originally called the GRID, GRID. A social worker who I was communicating with back then said, and he was a Buddhist, by the way, too. And he said, Kevin, you can't call it the matrix. I mean, you can't call it the grid. You got to call it the matrix. I said, well, and his name was Jim. I said, why, Jim? He says, because that's got Keanu Reeves sexy attached to it. That's why. So we went, okay. So we call it the Matrix. So it's literally called the Matrix because that's got Keanu Reeves sexy attached to it. So
makes sense.
Absolute story. Jim Bastion was the guy's name. He's still around. Well, he's retired now, though. So that, and then 2011, I was going to help out with some work on what was known as the Neighborhood Project with David Sloan Wilson and Steve Hayes and some other dignitaries. And toward that end, they were asking me for a front end loading of how to go talk to a community group. Let's say an inner city community group in Binghamton, New York. And so I came up with the pro-social matrix. But you'll notice, folks, this is my usual thing. I just switched a question. Not really. It was just a little twist. But it turned out to be a really cool one. So there you go. That one was born. And Tina asked me to say, how did the ACT matrix show up, or the grid show up, if you want to call it that way? That's because I was working in a post-traumatic stress disorder program at the Togus VA, and I did that for 30 years. So I've been around trauma a little bit, just a wee little bit, and we had started off doing stress inoculation training within that program. Did that well, We switched over to a more cognitive behavioral style, and did that well. And notice I'm starting in the early 80s with this stuff moving on. So 1980 is when the DSM-3 first recognized post-traumatic stress disorder as a disorder. So that's when the research starts going, right? So the first thing online was this stress inoculation training.
Yeah.
Great. Next thing online was the CBT stuff. And always there too, but the research was coming along with exposure therapy because it was an anxiety disorder. And so it's made sort of sense to do some exposure therapy. And so some of the first stuff to emerge out of that was Edna Foa's prolonged exposure therapy. We were the first VA she ever came to. It's all widespread in the VA now. And now, lo and behold, she comes up to this little tiny VA up in Togus, Maine, and presents to us first. So, and we know it. I know it, and my colleague knows it. So we looked at it. Great research and stuff. Let me tell you, it's hard to sell to people with post-traumatic stress disorder. And they kept saying in her very Israeli accent, oh, no, easy to sell. I'm like, well, I don't know, you're selling it too, Edna.
My buyers don't want it.
It ain't easy for me and for us to do. This is Gerald and I. We couldn't do it. So we knew it was good, but I mean, literally less than half the people would do it. I mean, less than half. So it's like, that's not very practical. So we're doing, and so along comes ACT, 1998, and we start reading the ACT book. We immediately threw the things back down because we figured no human could understand those things. Fortunately, just about that time, we went to a conference on one of the originals of ACT, which was John Forsyth. And we go out, and when I say we, I mean Gerald and I. So Gerald Hambright, PhD. So when we come out, we go, there you go. That's the way to do in vivo exposure therapy. That's it. And part of the prolonged exposure has two components to it. Edna Foe is prolonged exposure. One is in vivo, meaning in life, and the other is imaginal exposure, where the person is imagining up the recollections of the trauma and exposing themselves to those recollections. So the other is they're afraid to go out in public, or whatever, and so you get them out there. But and the form and Edna's, I described it as this: go to Walmart, chain yourself to a post, put a lock on it and give somebody else the key. Until your subjective units of distress units go down enough to get somebody to unlock you so you can leave. I mean, it wasn't that, but it was sort of that kind of onerous. And this is why it was hard to get people to do. So along comes ACT, and ACT, back then, you'll still hear a lot about values, but it's basically, well, how do you fluff up somebody's values and get them very aware of their values, and then get them to do some committed action toward the value? And that's what we were thinking of. Well, there you go. They'll do the in vivo exposure and we'll talk to them about how to set that up so they actually will do it. For example, my child is very important to me. Oh, well, where might you? And they have a birthday coming up. Great. You need to get a birthday present. Yeah. Where are you going to go get it? Walmart. Problem. I hate going to Walmart. But your kid's important to you. Yes. Need to get a present. Yes. Okay. I'm going to suck it up and go. Well, now here comes the present moment awareness. Here we go. So now as you're each step of the way, you're noticing. You're noticing at home before you leave. You're noticing as you're driving to Walmart. You're noticing as you get out of the car. You're noticing as you walk in. You're noticing as you go. You see the idea that you're constantly noticing what's going on inside of you. And that's why we came out saying, that's the way to do in vivo. That's the way to do it. And it was. Absolutely. It worked very well. And of course, that sort of set us down the path of ACT. Now, ACT, Edna Foe, yes. And ACT is tough. The way it was written, especially in the 1998 book, the first two chapters were just impenetrable. Brutal reading, really hard. And really a lot of other stuff, and it was tough. And so now let's go to a little factoid about me. It's try to not to get my ego in here too much, but I'm just one of those people that if I see something complicated, my soul wants to simplify it. Just wants to simplify it. And it's not because, I was doing that when I was 12, 13 years old. That's just what I do. And so here I go. I had something complicated and I knew there was something simple in there. I just could feel it in my bones. There was something simple inside of there, but it wasn't getting out. It definitely wasn't getting out. So that's when I went to reading. First you read some and you go, oh, there's a philosophy behind this. So I go and read a whole bunch of philosophy, figure it all out. Get that? Oh, cool. All right. And there's a theory of language and cognition behind that. Woo-hoo! Now you're talking. Guess what my dissertation was in? Language and cognition. that's my PhD dissertation. So this will be fun for a weirdo like me. So I go to read all that stuff. Read a whole bunch about that, and including the purple book. Oh, you guys want to go get the purple book? It's called the original book on relational frame theory. It's literally the title of it. Relational frame. It's a killer. I laugh. This is so hard to read. It's pathetic. I got through all that, doing all that, and then finally and then along comes ACT. So you got this philosophy and this theory of language and cognition, and you got ACT, which is the application phase. That's what you folks need, is to go apply it. Like, okay, here we go. All the while, Kevin's drawing diagrams, because I'm a draftsman, by the way. Didn't know. It's not much drafting now. It's just 2 lines and a couple of arrows, but I'm drafting along and having a good time. And I was drawing pictures of it and diagramming and all that. And then one day, I heard some more stuff about it, and I went, oh, it would be really cool to create a trauma memory sorting game. We got to say that all at once. It's trauma memory sorting game, meaning you take a trauma memory and you sort it. Like, well, what are you going to sort it into? Well, I knew that there was the sensory experiencing of the trauma. There was the mental activity that was going on during the trauma. There was probably in the trauma, there was some value kind of stuff, the toward kind of stuff involved in there. And obviously it's a trauma, so there's some away stuff going on. And they could then sort those memories on those 2 dimensions. Forget about the quadrants, folks, just those 2 dimensions. I never created the game. I never got past that. And if anybody ever wants to create one of that game, you go right ahead. More power to you. But what had happened once I saw that, I knew that I had just created what is known as a discrimination task. Meaning, can you tell the difference between your sensory experiencing and your mental experiencing? See the 2, sensory, mental. Notice the difference. There comes notice right in the middle. Notice the difference between how it feels to move toward, like who's important to you, and notice how it feels to move away, like run away from something that frightens you, and notice that difference. And people go, oh, yeah, I can notice that. Yeah. Boom. That's what we wanted. I had all of ACT. And I stood up and went and showed it to somebody. Notice there's nothing in the quadrants. It's just that.
Yeah, here, we'll get rid of this.
There's nothing in the quadrants.
That's all there was, right?
It's only those 2. The top, the first one is named D1. Discrimination Task 1. The horizontal one became known as D2. Discrimination Task 2. And that's how it started. And it's still there. You just don't hear it much. But that's there. I'm just giving you a little history, knowing that within a few weeks, it was like those empty quadrants were really begging for something. And I'll fully admit, I'm going, no. I want to be a purist. I don't want nothing in the quadrant. But my colleagues, probably Phil by that time, were going now, and so we put stuff in the quadrants. So we started putting questions in the quadrants. Yeah. The questions support the 2 discrimination tasks. So that's why I finally, once I got into doing it, I don't mention those. I'm just telling you the history because it's important to know that that's how it got started. And it just kept on going. It won't. In case you didn't know, that night, like after I figured it out like that, I did a video and gave it away to the world. I just gave it away. I said, it's not for me to have. I don't want to have it. I just for let's say, capitalistic reasons, I like to be given credit for it. So in the hopes that somebody will come ask me for training and pay me for it. So I've never ignored that that I live in capitalistic society and I need to get paid. But as far as just making profit off of every single time it was showing or something, that was silly. I wasn't going to do that. So I gave it away, and then one thing led to another, and finally New Harbinger wanted a book on it. And Phil literally wrote the chapter, Matrix Goes to School. And we did all that, and there it was. So now
there's the book.
There you go.
If you folks will notice, I just did Trauma Talk with Matrix Talk.
That's it.
I just did it. Now that's how this is done. The whole idea is to have somebody wait around until the trauma memory shows up, or the behavior related to the trauma memory stuff shows up, and you notice it showing up. There it is. Oh, okay. Where are you? What are your five senses at this moment in time? What's going on inside of your mind, at this moment in time? What might you move toward now? What might you move away now? That's how you do it. Yep. It's always elegant. Let me tell you what people would like for me to say. They would like for me to say there is a protocol. And first you do this, and then 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 you do this in a protocolized fashion. No, you show them the matrix. You ask them, do you think you might have the opportunity to notice trauma memories show up? Or you might get a notion that you're doing a behavior that's related to a trauma memory, and that's showing up. And they go, you think you might have the opportunity to notice that? Well, anybody that has trauma memory will go, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now you got something to notice when those show up. And in that noticing, they will learn new ways of having and living with the trauma memories. That's what it's for. So it's not going to be that you're going to say, I am going to teach you how to have a different relationship with your trauma memory. I'm going to tell you right now, folks, it won't work. It will not work. It will work to set this up, and then say, if you notice one showing up, or in any way, shape, or form, it might show up. And then notice what's going on around that in that moment in time. You might learn something. You might not. That's okay too. Either way, that's cool. Now, what did I just do? Phil's astute. He heard me do it.
It's the simple things that cause the most impact, Miriam. Yes, right.
But I did something at the end of that. It's called pulling the pliance off of a suggestion.
Yeah.
Because we live in a world that we all came out of education settings. And people assume that when I said, do you think you might have the opportunity to notice this? The translation inside the Western world education mind is, oh, he just told me to do this.
I need to do this.
I need to do this. What you see me slipping in behind is like, oh, maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you won't. Maybe you will.
Maybe you won't do it.
All good. Whether you do it or don't do it, it's fine.
It's okay.
It really is totally fine. And I'm serious. It is fine.
Yeah.
Really, really, in my heart of hearts, that's fine. And what I've done with those words, the technical term for it is pulling the pliance off. The other side of pliance is compliance, right? So
that's a big word for us in behavior analysis.
Okay. I just stripped it off, and I'm stripping it off on purpose.
Yeah.
There was somebody there has been more than one, who said, my God, you can talk for 2 hours and each word you've said is carefully chosen. And they're right. They are.
That would be true.
Yep.
They are carefully chosen because Phil knows this. I'm literally evaluating each word for how well it will promote psychological flexibility.
Its effect on the person you're with.
Right. I'm literally doing each word, each phrase. I'm carefully constructing this language for psychological flexibility.
Right.
Why do you want to do it for psychological flexibility? And we'll get to whatever that comment that popped up. You want to do that is because once you pull all that up and the person is in that noticing space in the middle, now they have the highest probability of thinking of a new behavior, coming up with some new thing to do that may or may not work for the life that they want, but at least they'll think of something new. They'll think of something and then they might even give it a try. That's the spot you're putting them in. But they got to think of it.
Right.
You can't think of it. Because once you do, you just entered into the world of pliance. And compliance, and you just stripped all the psychological flexibility off of it.
Right.
So this is quite different in that that's what you're doing constantly, is build up the psychological flexibility and try and just keep noticing the pliances showing up. And if they do, then sort of, and you get to where you feel it after a while, you can just, that inside of you, you can feel it showing up. You can feel your first grade teacher showing up, and you feel it, and then you use words to pull it off, to spin it back off of there. So that's what I'm doing all the time. That's what Phil does all the time.
Yeah.
Tina does a lot of the time.
Yes.
So we're getting there. So it's that simple, folks. That's matrix talk. That's trauma stuff. It's not most everybody has some troubling memories. Right?
Yeah.
Almost everybody does.
Oh,
so
without a doubt.
It's just a degree thing when you're talking about people with severe, I mean horrific, people dismembered and that kind of stuff, memories. Well, those are really tougher to live with than the usual run-of-the-mill trauma memory. But nevertheless, they're troubling memories. Is what they are. And you're going to have a life anyway.
They're coming along for the ride.
They're just part of you. and this is how they get to where they get lighter in the backpack. That's the metaphor that's so often used.
Yeah, we use that a lot in schools. Put it in your backpack, take it with
our program, and even the veterans would come up with it on their own. So it's as if this trauma memory. Let's say you were in Vietnam and you saw people beheaded and cut up and all kinds of just awful stuff, and that's 100-pound weight in your backpack. It's really hard to carry around. And now, well, it's still there, but we got her down to 10, 15, 20-pound weight. It's there. It's still coming along for the ride, and now it's just a lot easier to come along for the ride. And that's what you're doing with any of this stuff. This is what you're doing with any of your memories and what you're doing. So it's just process. So there you go. That's the whole thing. I'm sorry I sort of dominated it all, but that's the story.
Wow, Kevin has right on. Absolutely.
I mean, Phil's heard me tell the story before.
Yeah.
Doesn't change much, but
nope.
It's sort of, even to me, it's sort of interesting that all of that occurred. And I was here along for the ride.
Yeah. Me too. I was here along for the ride too.
I was really along for the ride.
I watched it come into being. It was really neat. Then I got a chance to bring it into the schools and do it with the kids. And there
you go. So now you take something that really I was only inside of a VA.
Yeah.
And here comes Phil and others. They go, oh, well. And he takes it inside of this.
Damn, I'm taking this. I'm going with this thing. Yeah.
That thing right into the school system. Yeah. And it was great. They got teachers doing.
Yeah. Then we were riffing back and forth.
And doing classrooms. And and what Phil I thought came up was so cool, which was toward the idea of the pro-social matrix.
Right.
Really, is that so a teacher can say, hey, students, here you go, couple of loops, boom, up goes the matrix up on the front of the room. right? We're all used to sitting there with our places and shiny faces and all that, that thing. And we're looking up at the front of the room. Well, instead, now there's a matrix up there. And in the lower right, it's got shared purposes.
Yeah.
Classroom shared purposes,
Yes.
right? And kids have piled in.
Discuss with each other. Yeah.
I'm here because it's better than getting beat up at home.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm here because I'm hungry. Terrific.
Write all that stuff down, I mean, and I went with that one first because you're going, oh, wow. Yeah, Phil worked in a really rough school.
Yeah, these were the ne'er-do-wells.
And there was kids that were like,
compliant
they
type.
probably did. They sat there and go, well, I can stay here and get beat up or I can go to school. Well, they got to go to school. That was their, and the thing is, there was probably 2 or 3 other kids in the classroom who had the same
Absolutely.
Right. So it was a shared purpose,
Right.
and then, but of course, learning got in there and Well, now anything can happen in the classroom.
And it does.
Everybody has the responsibility, from the kid in the back of the room to the teacher at the front, can now say, whoa, this stuff that's going on right now.
Where does it go? Here it is. So I got it right behind. Right?
Where does it go?
Right?
And the kids go, oh, that's an interesting question. And now we start processing behavior. Right. You guys' thing.
Yeah, helping them looking at their own behaviors.
Now we're processing our own behavior.
Yeah.
People going, it looks to me like we're all doing a bunch of away moves. Hey.
Yeah. Let's do some more. Hey.
And you just do it. You don't judge them. You just do it. You just put them up on that. And man, those classrooms that he described, they must have been awesome.
Oh, they were great.
But it's really weird because now you have a collaborative classroom environment.
I like how you say that's really weird. A collaborative classroom environment is really weird.
Yeah.
You don't see it often.
It is very strange. It is very, very strange. And there are teachers that absolutely will hear about it and go, no way.
A lot of people won't buy in. That's okay. I will go and talk to somebody else.
I am in control. I am the master of my classroom.
Yeah. Man in control all the way. Go for it.
And that's what they're going to do, like, okay, whatever. But the ones who can do that, can pull that off, it's a lot of fun. Well, then we started taking it to businesses and stuff, same thing in a business setting, but the thing to know is it automatically sets up that collaborative atmosphere. So if you're going to hit a brick wall against collaboration, just notice that. Okay. It's okay to hit the brick wall. It won't hurt you any, but you might notice them showing up at times. I laugh because I've seen it show up lots of times. I know I'm weird. I get my jollies off.
They all agree. Oh yeah, every day.
But nevertheless, remember, I went in and got to show them the Matrix, and now it's stuck in their freaking neurons.
Back to the beginning. Remember, you can't get it out of your head.
And unsee it.
That damn Matrix is still showing up.
So I go walking out going, bye. And I left my virus behind me.
Yeah. Another successful infection.
The coronavirus either. It was just my little diagram. And you just never know what happens when that gets kicking around a system. No. And that's the nature of it. So that's why I show it and do it.
And we hear from people later on. They'll reach back out to Kevin. They'll reach back out to me. Hey, I tried that Matrix thing, and here's what I learned.
Yep. It just all kinds of stuff happens.
I learn new things every day. One of the audience members was with me this morning when I was talking about it, and then had another aha.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It just keeps going.
Right. And to go back, when I spotted the 2 discrimination tasks, that was back from my old experimental psychology days. And it's just no, if you get somebody to stem back from something, called perspective taking.
That's what we're doing.
In fact, they call it the observer self, but it's perspective. And they'll call it the 10,000 foot view, the 20,000 foot view, and the big one, 30,000 feet, begging, and you're stepping back. Well, that is psychological flexibility, folks, because now you can go, whoa, here's the big picture. You know what? Even though I feel anxious, I can go ahead and do this stuff. See, I can see all that stuff, right? And once you get people there, they have these aha moments. That's what you're looking for, is the ahas. So that's all Phil and I do, is we set all this stuff up, and then we hang around and wait for people to go, aha, I can try this.
And so we could go.
Can I put a fancy
accomplished. We can leave.
Can I put a fancy technical term on the aha moments?
Oh, you go right ahead.
That's, correct me if I'm wrong, derived relational responding.
Yeah, that's.
Are we deriving up relations when we're having aha moments?
Yeah, and they're derived up in your head. They don't exist anywhere else but your head.
Yep. So now we've got that generative learning going on. Ooh, that's a big term.
That she has quoted something directly out of relational frame theory.
Ooh.
And then the end point of that is derived relational responding. And folks, let's just cover that a little bit. It's not hard to think. If we give everybody, go up to a blackboard, a whiteboard, and write A equals B. Got it. I know enough math to know the equal sign, so A is now equal to B. Yay. And now I can write B is equal to C. Got it. And boom, all by itself, a third thing just showed up. And people might have to think on it a minute, but it's already in their head. Even if they haven't verbally been able to say it, it's already in their head that A equals C. It's not on the board. They had to derive it, or you had to derive it in your head. You took this relationship and this relationship, and you derived a new relationship. Responding, derived relational responding. And humans do it like crazy all the damn time. It's how you learn how to talk.
Can't stop DRRing.
It just goes. But this is how you till the soil of it. Yeah. You cultivate and water and fertilize. you're really cultivating the soil for DRR. But then you remind people, oh, you probably got somewhere you want to go in life, right? Yeah. More, I'd like to be known as a kind, generous person or something. Whatever do you want to do? Or I want to be an evil despot. Okay, there you go. There's a plan for you. Whatever. And I'm doing it that way to stay flexible, folks. But now you're going to look at your behaviors and ask the question, well, is that working to get me where I want to go? And then don't answer that question. Okay, Tina, why don't they want to answer that question? You just ask a question and you don't want to answer it. You know? Because it would put verbal analysis in, and about 1/10,000,000th of your brain has to do with verbal analysis. Yes, I said 1/10,000,000th. It's like squat to do with it, you learning anything.
Yeah.
And we give it really a whole lot of credence because of all of our work, all that. Yeah. And it ain't worth crap when it comes to learning. And so but it's great, you use it a bit, and so you ask the question, oh, are these behaviors getting me where I want to go?
Yeah.
And then just drop the question, going about your business. Because it's in that reminding yourself of the direction, you can then learn behaviorally what's working and what's not working, to get you where you want to go. And what works for me ain't the same as what works for Phil, ain't the same as what works for Tina. It's just it's you. It's you, and in the context that you're within.
Whatever's going on around you.
Right. It does. Yeah. I can't prescribe behaviors to you because I don't live your context. I don't know. It's not in your context, but I can set it up so you can drive up new behaviors. Then you can test them later on. You'll go, oh, is that working? And then go on about your business. This is not about sitting in your armchair thinking. No, it's about getting up doing it. So that's us. That's what we do.
So that's what we do.
That's it.
It's very simple.
So I have to pop off because it's 12 o'clock.
Yep.
There are some questions that we didn't get to, and I do want to invite any behavior analysts or any clinicians who are using this to find me on Facebook at Clinicians Using the ACT Matrix. And I do a free practice session every other Tuesday at 4:30 where we can just talk and, practice the matrix, talk about how to apply it. I also do all those free trainings. So please, I know that Joe had some questions and Kristen, and I'm just scrolling.
Yeah, I did.
And so let's answer those questions together. Find us on Facebook. Kevin and Phil do a whole bunch of free stuff. Click that green button down there. Email me.
Well, that's how you can
do a free phone call with me.
Yeah, you can get certified in this, and we have ninja training.
Right. Stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what this ninja training is, but I can't wait.
Oh, but we do.
Well, yes. You don't have to. I mean, I already signed up for ninja training. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it'll be lovely. You don't have to be certified in the ACT Matrix to use it. And
someone asked that question. I did say no. You are now duly deputized, folks. You've seen this. Go and use it.
Yep. And you can find many matrix diagrams with
lots of resources out there on Kevin's site, on my site.
On my site, I've got these cool printables.
Please do use it.
Do it. Thank you guys for being here. Kevin and Phil, thank you.
Well,
I will see you guys at 1 o'clock. Thank you all for being here.
All right.
And we will see you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care.
How do you leave this?
I'll kick you off.
Oh, bye.
You just wave.